Elizabeth runs away after seeing her boyfriend Todd kissing Simone, the supermodel. Todd chases after her, but she's more interested in recapping the previous book than listening. How could he cheat on her? How could he betray their love? They're supposed to be together forever. And oh my gosh, Elizabeth, you cheated on him in the last trilogy. Did you forget that already?
Argo Font Book Review. Argo Font Book Review.
Todd goes clubbing with Simone, and he feels awkward the whole time because he's only 16, he doesn't fit in with his crowd, and he didn't mean to break Elizabeth's heart. The next day, the trashy tabloids have an article all about it. Yep, Todd Goes Dancing at Night is headline news in Los Angeles. Who knew? Todd's parents are angry that he broke curfew, and he's grounded immediately. Elizabeth's boss Leona starts turning into a jerk, although Elizabeth doesn't notice. She's too heartbroken over Todd. Elizabeth is further heartbroken when Leona says the board rejected Elizabeth's idea for a new column. And since she's so heartbroken, Elizabeth publicly refuses to see Todd when he comes to apologize to her. Everybody in the waiting room starts pointing at Todd and giggling when this happens, because public humiliation will turn professional adults into giggly middle schoolers. Meanwhile, Jessica makes up the set. Her boss Quentin admires her work and reminds the readers, Jessica, about their date tonight. Simone is late for work, and she flaunts the tabloid article to annoy Jessica. Jessica and Simone get into a fight where they splash water on each other and scream. Quentin mutters that all women are crazy, and he delays the photo shoot. Angry Simone talks with angry Todd. She goads him into going clubbing at midnight again, even though he's grounded. Todd gets caught by his parents, and Dad warns Todd if one more thing happens, they're gonna have a serious end-of-book cliffhanger. A serious talk. Jessica goes to the mailroom where she talks to Cameron, the hunk that she has a crush on. They've also got a date tonight, and I can't believe this. We are 40% of the way through the book, and we're still recapping the previous book. Why are we taking so long to set up the premise of Jessica has a date with two guys at the same time? That was the end of book cliffhanger. It should have been addressed immediately, like Elizabeth's cliffhanger was. Well, both dates are happening at the same time at the same restaurant. Jessica harasses Elizabeth with emotional blackmail for hours until Elizabeth agrees to pose as Jessica for the date. Luckily, the date is a 3-hour tour, so the twins can switch places twice. Yeesh, 3 hours for dinner? This is a slow restaurant. The date is okay. Quentin is awful and talks about himself the whole time. Elizabeth struggles with making Jessica like conversation, and she orders food that Jessica will hate just to mess with her. At the end, Cameron reveals that the twin switch didn't fool him for a second. He knew he was with the wrong girl for most of the night. Uh-oh, busted! Jessica feels bad about it for a few seconds, but she's an awful person who doesn't care that her misbehavior hurts other people, so she decides he's just gonna have to get over her betrayal. Elizabeth's boss Leona calls. Leona's taking a 3-day weekend, and she wants Elizabeth to cover for her on Monday. It ends up being more work than Elizabeth can handle, but Leona calls with even more jobs for her to do, and by the way, I broke my leg, so you're gonna have to go to my house and do all my chores. Elizabeth is a sucker, so she agrees to do it. She goes to Leona's house, where she decides she wants to feel like Leona, so she tries on all of Leona's clothes. That's weird, Liz. But then Elizabeth discovers a top-secret tape. In the tape, Leona says she's stealing Elizabeth's idea for a new column, and she's gonna give it to the head editor. Elizabeth wants to expose Leona's scheme, but she doesn't have any proof. What? No proof? You have her confessing the crime on tape! What more proof do you need? Well, anyway, Elizabeth decides she's gonna expose Leona by meeting with the head editor in the next book. The next photo shoot is difficult. Some genius figured it'd be more authentic to have cats on set, so Jessica has to herd cats all morning. Simone shows up 2 hours late, and she's extra angry. She storms out of the building, and later on, her roommate says she packed up 2 suitcases and left town forever. Why? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Todd spends the whole night looking for her. In a scene that's unintentionally hilarious, Todd's parents confront him about breaking curfew so much, and they forbid him from modeling ever again. He shouts that he's gonna run away from home forever! Jessica purposely opens the back of Quentin's camera, exposing the film and ruining most of the photos of Simone. He's forced to use Jessica as an emergency backup model. Jessica loves being a model for about 5 seconds until she's forced to do a bunch of crazy poses that hurt her body. She's forced to stand in wind and rain, and she decides modeling's not for her. Jessica talks to Cameron about the whole dating my sister thing, and he decides to give her one more chance. They kiss passionately. But at the end of the day, Quentin starts kissing Jessica, Cameron walks in on them, and it's the exact same cliffhanger we had at the end of the last book. The end. Post-book follow-up. This did not need to be a book. This is a good example of what I think of when I think pointless middle book which only exists so there can be a trilogy. I especially disliked how the Jessica's dating two guys storyline didn't start in earnest until 40% of the way through the book. And I'm not looking forward to the huge recap at the start of the next book. This book has a pointless subplot where Elizabeth's best friends get mad at her over what happened in the previous book. The girls go on a blind double date, and at the end of the book, they realize they're not being fair to Elizabeth, so they decide to talk to her again. This has absolutely no effect on the general story or the other characters. It's just there to waste time. Likewise, the Leona subplot is a time waster. You saw my review of the last book, right? It was pretty obvious that Leona would turn evil and steal Elizabeth's idea. They could have put that in the last book where it would have fit better. Instead, they stretch it out all the way to the end of this book. Overall, the book isn't actively bad, it just has no reason to exist. Judicious editing would have combined it with the other two books of the trilogy. Little progress was made with the storylines, as the characters are all basically in the same places at the start and end of the book. You thought Jessica learned she doesn't want to be a model, and you thought Simone moved out of town? Nope! Next book, Jessica's still trying to be a model, and Simone's back in town with no explanation whatsoever. Continuity! I like the scene of Todd getting angry at his parents, and the twin switch date was good, even if that's happened before in this series multiple times. I'll give a point for both those things. As for the rest, you can skip it and not miss much. I give Sweet Valley High, number 130, Model Flirt, a 2 out of 10.